She's a native of Southwick, Massachusetts, and she is Rebecca Lobo. Can you give her a nice 60 Days of Summer welcome? Awesome. You're very welcome.
Do we sit? Hello, everyone. My daughter is so disappointed. My 10-year-old is here with me, and she said, am I going to be able to shoot? So to all the kids, when we're done, I've been assured that they will be able to shoot again, right, Kyle?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're Rebecca Lobo. We'll make that happen.
We'll make sure that the kids can shoot when we're done talking.
The kids can shoot. Sorry, Maeve. So I'm going to start, Rebecca, with a question that I normally finish with because I'm honored to be the one to ask it. I usually ask at the end what it means to be speaking in the Basketball Hall of Fame, but today it's really an honor for me to be the one to ask this of you because in 52 days, things change a little bit in this place. So, Rebecca Lobo, member of the class of 2017, what does it feel like today? How is it different today? I can't believe I can ask you this question.
Well, it's not different quite yet, but it's going to be.
Okay.
How many people here, it wouldn't be any of the kids, but how many of the adults came to the Hall of Fame when it was over there, when it was the old building? That was me. I grew up 15 miles from here in Southwick, Massachusetts, and I used to come as a little girl and go to that Hall of Fame and visit there. And then when this Hall of Fame was built, I think I was still playing. My wedding reception was actually in right where we are right now. And so I've got amazing memories from being a girl going to that Hall of Fame, from being a young woman having my wedding reception here. But I never really thought that someday I would get my own beautiful orange jacket or that I would have be up there.
Yeah.
So it's still, as it's sinking in, it makes me smile all the time. And I'm really looking forward to September. But I think that moment is when it's all going to kind of rush in on me of, you know, all those times from the time I was a little girl their size, shooting hoops in my driveway and coming to the Hall of Fame to where it's taken me now.
Do you remember, I mean, obviously you remember the phone call, the phone rings, you look, you see it's a 413 number, you answer. Where were you? What was that like?
Well, it was in the middle of March Madness, so I'd been working really late the night before. I work at ESPN in studio, and we were covering, it was actually a UConn game the night before during the NCAA tournament. And I had been told I would get a call between, I think, noon and 3 to tell me my fate. Oof. And so I was alone. My kids were at school. My husband was out getting a sandwich, and I saw the phone call and I answered it. And it was John, and he said, "You know, Rebecca, did you ever think, growing up so close to here, that someday you would be a member of the Hall of Fame?" And my stomach just kind of dropped, and I was ridiculously excited because they tell you you're going to get a call, either to tell you that you're in or you're not in. So it's not until you hear the words that you get all excited about it. So I immediately, the kids won't understand this, but the parents will. I immediately texted my husband and I said, tonight you get to sleep next to a Naismith Hall of Famer. And his response was, great, exclamation mark. Larry Bird, question mark. So I disappointed him in that regard, but everything else, you know, we were excited about.
It's the most Rick response ever.
Yeah.
It really is. And I have to say, I mean, before we move on to the next question, for those of us our vintage who grew up in Western Mass, this feels like, it's your accomplishment, but this feels like something that people our age from Western Mass, this class is going to be special, so thank you for that. I mean that.
Thank you. I mean, I'm a product of the 413, as they say these days,
yeah.
Right? You know, I grew up in Southwick. My entire, from the kindergarten through 12th grade, I went to Southwick Public Schools. I was raised by my family, but also by that community. Very involved in Western Mass basketball. For those who remember, you know, that was when Travis Best, he and I are the same age, when he was killing it at Springfield Central, and Derek Kellogg was playing at Springfield Cathedral, and, you know, read the Springfield Republican and watched News 22. I mean, this is who I am, and so, you know, this community hopefully takes as much pride in this as I am.
So now I get to ask a question about that jacket.
I just tried it on, it fits, but they won't let me keep it.
52 days.
Yes,
52 days.
yes.
It's like on layaway. That's what it is. Yeah.
Do people know what layaway is these days?
No. That's how I grew up. That's what Pittsfield's all about.
Right, exactly.
So on behalf of our friends at Hager Clothing, who graciously provide all of our Hall of Famers with this incredible Naismith orange jacket, I want to ask today's Hager Innovator question. Because the kids in the audience only know UConn as the powerhouse that you and Kara and all of those who came before have established it as. But you and your recruitment was such a trailblazing, innovating moment to choose UConn versus the hundreds of other schools that were knocking on your door. So I have to ask, what was it about a young Gino and a then unsung UConn program that drove you to Stores versus any of the other spots?
Let me see if any of the kids know. What was the year that UConn won its first national championship, the women? Any of the kids know what year that was? It was before all of you guys were born. What year? 1995, well done. So UConn won their first national championship in 1995. I graduated high school in 1991. So they had not, when I decided to go to UConn, they had not yet been to a Final Four. They had not won a national championship. And not only that, but my parents were teachers in Connecticut, in a public school in Connecticut, and they didn't want me to go to UConn because they said, UConn's a safety school. UConn now has a great academic reputation, but they said, you don't want to go there. You want to go to Stanford or Notre Dame or Northwestern or one of these schools that has a great, great academic reputation. But I really wanted to play for Coach Auriemma. I loved the way he recruited me. I loved how honest he was with me. And I just thought he was something special. And he's proven to be something special. Any of the kids here know how many national championships UConn has now? I'll come back to you if nobody else knows the answer. Anybody know how many national championships? How many? 7. 7 was years ago. 7 was years ago. 10, closer, 11. UConn has 11 national championships. So Gino Auriemma has proven that he's the best coach in the history of women's college basketball. He's a phenomenal coach. Back then, he was a 30-something-year-old guy, just early in his career. But he was special, and I wanted to play for him. And my parents, after I graduated, admitted it was the best decision I ever made.
And as educators, right, that means so much to get the,
You need the approval of your folks, right?
Always. We still do.
Right.
Yeah. 1995 was a magical year. 35-0. You win the Wade Trophy. You're the AP Female Athlete of the Year. At such a young age, is it possible to slow, I'll call it the game down, but I really mean life, and to appreciate it? Or is it only years later that you can actually read the clips and cherish those moments?
I don't think any 22-year-old can really appreciate anything as it's happening in context. I think you need perspective, and the only way to get perspective on anything is to age, right?
Yeah.
And so at the time, no, I was thrilled that we won the national championship, but I was just searching for a moment to have a nap. It was a whirlwind of a time. It was really busy, really exciting, but it wasn't until much later that I had more appreciation for it. And then when I had kids of my own, I have 4 kids. My kids' ages are 12, 10, 8, and 6. It's my 10-year-old who's here with me today. And my older girls have grown to now love basketball, love WNBA, love UConn. So my oldest, huge Breanna Stewart fan. And so she's had a chance to meet Breanna Stewart. And I see the way my daughter looks at Breanna Stewart, and it makes me now appreciate even more, back when I was young and playing, how young kids could look at us.
Was there a moment in that 35-0 year when the number was 0 versus 11 for titles, when y'all realized that there was something incredibly special happening?
We thought we had a special team for kids or anyone who plays sports. There are certain teams that you're on and you just feel that it's special. It doesn't matter if you're in Little League or high school or middle school. Everyone gets along really well. You don't have the one player who's trying to score all the points. Everybody really wants to win more than anything else. And that was what that team had. We had that special chemistry. We also had a lot of talent. Yeah. And I think we thought we could be pretty good. We never thought we were going to go undefeated. I don't know that we ever really thought, hey, we're going to win their first national championship in the history of the school. We just knew we had something special. And you know that whether you're playing, like I said, rec basketball or high school basketball or college, there's just a special ingredient there that you know it when you have it.
Now, this is an exciting moment for me because this is when I get to let you know that after this question, I'm going to ask some of you if you have something you've always wanted to ask Hall of Famer Rebecca Lobo. I'm going to say that as much as I can.
Are you allowed to say that, or do I have to wait 52 more days?
Ooh, that's a great question.
Where's Fran?
I might get the hook here.
Because when the announcement was made back in the first weekend of April, at the men's Final Four was when the announcement was made of the new Hall of Famers, and I was with Fran, who's part of the Hall of Fame here, and somebody said, "Can you sign, next to your name, sign HOF?" And she said, "Nope, you can't do that until enshrinement."
Okay.
So I don't know if I can even consider myself one yet.
I'm going to retract that because I see Fran looking at us through the
She's
tide over there.
no, right?
Yeah, no, she's okay. So
no, 52 more days.
I can say a Hall of Fame class of 2017 member,
There we go.
Rebecca Lobo. So after this question, I'm going to ask you if you have a question for her to raise your hand, and you'll be recognized by one of the great Hoop Hall staffers who'll put you in line over here. We'll take as many as we can, probably 4 or 5, but this is your warning. So there you go. So the next year after that national title, again, the Rebecca Lobo story in the 90s was just remarkable because you sort of march right down to Atlanta. And it's an Olympic year. And it's in the United States. And I mean, those games were the official arrival of the modern era of women's basketball. Again, what about that experience changed you as a player, as a woman, as a citizen? What was that experience like just 1 year later?
Well, first let me ask, if you were born after 1996, raise your hand.
That's a pretty significant portion.
Everybody over here. You don't understand the question because I have a 6-year-old. She wouldn't know to put her hand up either. So everybody who has, you can put your hands down. Everybody who put their hand up, their whole life there's been professional women's basketball in the United States.
Wow.
Every year that they've been alive, there's been a professional women's basketball league here, the WNBA. For most of my life, it didn't exist. So in 1996, I had a chance to play for the Olympic team, which of course is the pinnacle of what you can do because it's the only time in an athletic sense that you represent your country at the epitome of your sport. And it was in Atlanta, so there's 20,000 people at the Georgia Dome watching us play. It was amazing and a thrill of a lifetime and a goal that I'd had since I was a kid. And then the following year, 1997, the WNBA starts. And that was a fulfillment of another dream I'd had since I was a kid. Maybe someday, my dream was maybe someday I'll play for the Boston Celtics. But instead, we got our own league. And now it's all my kids know. They love following the WNBA in the summer. They can watch any women's college game they want during the year. That didn't exist then. So did I realize all that at the time? No, but when I was at the Olympics, did I recognize that this is a lifelong dream coming true? Absolutely.
It's incredible too. So we talk about that next year when you end up with the New York Liberty in the WNBA. And just yesterday, I was speaking with Carol Blaze-Juski, about those early years with the New York Liberty. And Blaze told me that one of her greatest feelings of validation was getting to talk to those people who told her in '97 that the WNBA would last 5 years, because we're in year 21.
Right.
So I want to sort of flip the question a little bit. I don't want to ask you if you agree, because we all agree. It's one of the most exciting leagues in sports in North America, period. What were the glimmers that you saw in '97 of a thing that was going to be?
Geez, some of my fondest memories of that first year is the New York Liberty played in Madison Square Garden, and the Liberty had spent, I don't know, $10,000, $20,000 buying this black drape that they would put around the top of Madison Square Garden so it wouldn't look empty when we only had 8,000 fans there. And I remember talking to Blaze about this. that was 10 or 20 grand, whatever they spent, that they didn't need to spend, because we never needed to have that draped off, because we generally had crowds that would go into the upper bowl. And our first game of the year, we started our season on the road, and we came back to play a game at Madison Square Garden. And if you guys have been to an NBA or WNBA game, the lights go down. They've got this video on the Jumbotron, music's playing, and then they do the opening lineups, the starting lineups. And I remember the crowd was so loud that we couldn't hear our names over the PA system. So you'd look around at your teammates, and somebody, whoever heard, would pushed us out because it was your turn to run out on the court. And then that year, we and Houston Comets were the two best teams in the league. And that year, in the subsequent couple of years, whenever Houston would come to Madison Square Garden, we would sell out. There would be 18,000 people there, and it was just amazing, because nobody thought that was a situation that we would be seeing that soon.
Yeah. So now here's your chance. If you have a question you'd like to ask Rebecca Lobo, you may raise your hand now, and one of the members of the Hoop Hall staff will recognize you, put you in line to my right, which means that the hard questions are coming. Not from me, obviously. No,
I know. These are the good ones.
Yeah.
He's already got a question.
Yeah. I'm just chucking softballs over here.
He's full of questions.
And so I'm wondering, with the transition from you from the court to the booth, you've made it look effortless, and I know nothing that we do is effortless. It takes effort, and especially that transition. Was there a moment for you when it all sort of, when maybe you questioned the
Went
desire?
horribly wrong?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering, because it all looks so good.
Well, that's because I've been doing it now for 15 years.
We're not old enough for that.
When I first started, I had no idea what to do. And I'm lucky that there wasn't a DVR then, because I do have some VHS tapes of when I first started calling games, and I was absolutely horrible. I was really bad. But I'm comfortable now, and I've been doing it for a long time and really enjoy it. Working at ESPN is awesome.
And who was the first person to say you should be on TV?
Well, it was my senior year in college when we were getting a lot of attention, and women's basketball started actually being covered by ESPN.
Yeah.
And I was watching, and I was thinking, Robin Roberts was doing our games, and excuse me, sorry, that would be a really, really cool job. And after the Olympics, WNBA started, I just started getting opportunities and loved it.
That's awesome. All right, now let's get to the hard questions, shall we? You want to come on up? I only have two requests, I should say. I don't have rules. I'm a dad. No one listens to my rules anyway. My requests are that you let me hold the microphone, and then you introduce yourself before you ask your question.
Okay. Hi, my name is Chase. I would like to be an NBA player when I grow up. And I have a question for Rebecca. Rebecca, what age did you start playing basketball?
Chase, how old are you?
7.
I started playing basketball in my driveway, just dribbling and shooting, when I was about 5 or 6 years old. And I think the first team I played on was I was in 3rd grade, so that would have made me 8 or 9, right? So yeah, right around your age. Do you play?
A little bit.
Well, if you want to be an NBA player, you should play now and keep playing as long as it's fun.
Yeah, I don't have a basketball hoop at home, so when I usually go over to my cousin's house, I usually use theirs.
Do you have a basketball?
Yes, my brother doesn't use it that much.
Maybe you can ask your brother if he'll let you use it, and you can at least become a really good dribbler. But if your brother's like my kids, he won't share, so maybe you can ask Santa for one this Christmas.
But he's 4 and he has autism.
Oh, he's 4?
Yeah.
Well, maybe ask him if you can borrow it.
Okay.
Okay.
Chase, thank you so much. Can we have a round of applause for Chase? It's going to be a tough act to follow. Chase is throwing fastballs.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
He is good.
Hi, I'm McKenna, and my question is, why did you choose basketball of all the sports out there?
Well, McKenna, I am 6'4", and so my height, basketball was the best sport for me to be tall. But when I was in high school, I played field hockey, basketball, and softball all the way through. I played it when I was a little girl. I played soccer too. I played sports, so it wasn't until I went to college that I only played basketball. But height doesn't help you as much in field hockey as it does in basketball.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, McKenna. All right. I never had that height problem. It was, no sport chose me.
You have a soccer body.
I did 15 years ago.
I'm Josh, I'm 12, and how did you feel when the UConn women lost in the semifinals against Mississippi State?
I figured that would be your question, Josh, 12 years old. How did I feel when UConn lost in the national semifinals to Mississippi State? It was one of the most exciting women's basketball games I've ever seen. It was tremendous. It was one of the highest viewed games we've had because I think, everyone expected UConn to just blow everybody out. And so all of a sudden, people are getting texts on their phone, UConn's losing, UConn might lose. And so a lot of people tuned into the game. So I'd been following Mississippi State. I knew Morgan Williams' story. She's the one who hit the game-winning shot to beat UConn. So, I thought it was an incredibly exciting game, and it was great for women's basketball. And, UConn's won their fair share.
Yeah.
Thanks, Josh. It was the best NCAA women's tournament we've ever had this year. It was,
It was a great tournament.
Every game was
It was a
fantastic.
great tournament, yeah.
I'm Hudson, and my question is, what did it feel like when you stepped onto the court for your first game?
Ooh, gosh. Hudson. How old are you, Hudson?
10.
10. What did it feel like when I stepped on the court for my first game? Well, the first team I played on, third grade, there weren't enough girls in my town to have a girls team, so I was the only girl on the all-boys team. And I remember it feeling kind of cool because we were playing against another team that was all boys. So you said you're 10.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you were on it, you play basketball?
Yeah.
So if you were on a team and it was all boys, is your team all boys?
Yeah, it's just all boys.
If you went and played against another team and they were all boys except for one girl, what would you think?
Actually, I have, and they were a pretty good team,
It's
actually.
a pretty good team?
Yeah.
Well, that's good to hear, because back a long time ago when I was your age doing that, the kids on the other team kind of looked at me like, she can't be any good. And my teammates were like, yeah, just wait. And I played well, and we had a good team, and so I just remember kind of the feeling of satisfaction that I was good enough to play with the boys, and my teammates treated me like a really good player.
Great question, Hudson. Let's bring in the closer. All right.
Hi, my name's Gerard. I'm from Norwalk, Connecticut. And my question is, who do you think's a better basketball player, Kyrie Irving or Steph Curry?
Who do I think's better, Kyrie Irving or Steph Curry? Gosh, they're both pretty good. Do I really have to choose? See, if you had given me a post player and a guard, I would have chosen the post player because I was a post player. Well, I'll put my son, my 8-year-old son has a Steph jersey, and he doesn't yet have a Kyrie jersey, so he'd probably want me to say Steph Curry. So I'll say Steph Curry.
I'm a Kyrie fan.
You're a Kyrie fan?
Yeah.
Are you and I still okay, though?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you didn't really sell that very well.
Ladies and gentlemen, can you please give a warm and, well, you know what to do. It's Rebecca Lobo.
Can I add one more thing?
Please.
Just because Kyle's unwillingness to give up the microphone. So after you win a national championship or an NBA Finals or WNBA Finals, the sideline reporter goes up and does the interviews. They quickly build the podium on the court. They go up and do the interviews. And I work with a person named Holly Rowe and also Doris Burke, her two are the best in the business at this. And when Holly started taking over for Doris and the college stuff, Doris said, I'll give you the one piece of advice that Michelle Tafoya had given her when you're up on the podium interviewing all the coaches and players who've just won a national championship. or an NBA title, and it was never give up the mic. So you will, if you guys ever watch this, there will be times where one of them will be interviewing a coach or an owner, and it will turn into this. Like the owner or the coach or the players trying to take the microphone, and they will never give up the mic. So I wish one of the kids had gotten into a little mic match with you.
True story, and I know that everyone's excited to be able to meet Rebecca and grab an autograph. And I might also say one autograph per person, please, and no photos, okay? Just because there's so many of us, and we want to make sure everyone gets a chance. Yesterday, a teacher in line tried to grab it from me, and I felt like I was going to get in trouble. So Rebecca, again.
Did you let it go?
No.
Oh.
No. I don't want to disappoint Holly Rowe.
Yeah, no. That's Holly has now passed that on to you.
One more round of applause for Rebecca Lobo. Thank you.